For centuries, the Jewish people have prayed for the return of Elijah the prophet. And during their Passover ceremonies, they include a place at their table and open the front door for him. Well, on April 3rd, 1836, the same day Jewish families were praying all over the world for Elijah's return during Passover, he actually did return to the earth. He appeared in the house of the Lord, the Kirtland Temple, and bestowed the keys of sealing families together eternally. Remember, God commanded Joseph Smith to build a temple in Kirtland, Ohio, back in December 1832. But as building commenced, persecution erupted, causing the laborers on the walls to keep swords nearby to protect themselves from mob attacks as they placed the stones and built the structure. These church members were so poor that the temple cost them every penny they could raise, and then some. And they made enormous sacrifices to complete this house of the Lord. They were hard-working people who put in long days. Even the prophet quarried rock with his own hands. While the men primarily focused on building the temple, the women kept the farms running. They also sewed clothes for the workers, and curtains and bench covers for the temple, which required days to even make the fabric in the first place. Some of the women also drove the wagons filled with stone from the quarries to the temple lot. Children were sent to families and dump sites to collect previously broken bits and pieces of pottery and china to be crushed and mixed into the plaster walls of the temple. And since no other church buildings existed, they started holding meetings in the temple before it was even completed. 4 years later, it was finished and ready for dedication. On March 27th, hundreds of people anxious to get a seat lined up early outside the temple in joyful anticipation. So many people wanted to get in that many unfortunately had to be turned away. Inside, nearly 1,000 people listened to the choir in surround sound seated in the four corners of the temple, sing many songs throughout the long service, including 3 new hymns written by W.W. Phelps. This electrifying meeting lasted over 8 hours, with no reports of anyone being bored, falling asleep, or leaving their seats, probably for fear of losing them. Sidney Rigdon began the meeting and preached for a few hours to the congregation, after which church leaders were presented for a sustaining vote. Then came the dedicatory prayer by the prophet, who, to the surprise of some, instead of praying spontaneously, read the dedicatory prayer, which he'd received by revelation. By the way, this pattern of reading temple dedicatory prayers has been followed ever since. The congregation then powerfully sang a new hymn, "The Spirit of God," followed by the Hosanna shout, which they repeated 3 times. The Spirit was so strong, and several people witnessed a 2-month-old baby joining in the shout. Joseph recalled that during the dedication, a noise was heard like the sound of a rushing mighty wind, which filled the temple, and all the congregation simultaneously arose, being moved upon by an invisible power. Many prophesied, others saw glorious visions, and the temple was filled with angels. The people of the neighborhood came running together, hearing an unusual sound within, and saw a bright light like a pillar of fire resting upon the temple. The following Sunday was Easter, and another large and glorious meeting was held in the temple. Afterwards, curtains were lowered from the ceilings to separate the space, so that 4 individual meetings could be held simultaneously. Alone on the Melchizedek priesthood pulpit, Joseph and Oliver knelt together in prayer. Section 110 explains exactly what happened next. Christ appeared to them in majesty and accepted their work. Oh, how wonderful it must have been to know that all of their sacrifices and struggles had been worth it. 3 angels then appeared, each bringing some of the long-awaited keys to fully restore the gospel. Moses, who'd led the Israelites, appeared and restored the keys of the gathering of Israel from the 4 parts of the earth, and the keys of the leading of the 10 tribes from the land of the north. Next, Elias appeared and brought the keys of the gospel of Abraham and the Abrahamic covenant, which bless all generations of the earth and promise eternal exaltation. Finally, the long-anticipated Elijah entered the Lord's house and conferred the sealing keys, enabling families to be together eternally and allowing saving ordinances for the living and the dead to be done in temples, linking generations together in one giant chain, all the way backward and all the way forward. As the temple served its divine purpose, this was perhaps the greatest time in the history of the early church. With these important keys restored on earth, the saints truly received power from on high. Next time, we'll learn about the rapid growth of the church because of the restoration of the keys of gathering.